hope everyone had them a great week. It's Sunday, so I'm hoping everyone is relaxing, unwinding. Today, I have a special guest with you guys. My brother is here, and I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Hey y'all, it's Jamel.
Yes, it's him. Your fave twins have came together for a video.
Period.
I'm gonna be real transparent, child. This is the second take of this episode. This is the second take. The first take was taken yesterday. It was very good. Very good. We grieved that moment of silence. We grieved that. But we here again for y'all because this is what we do. This is what I bring content to y'all, even if I have to redo it.
Period.
So, today, we're going to be talking to you guys about deep diving into forgiveness. We have 4 questions that I will be going over. The first one is, how do you view forgiveness? Is it something you believe you do for yourself or for others? Number 2, what do you believe is the main factor of forgiveness? Number 3, do you believe in the saying, I can forgive, but I cannot forget? And number 4, when was the last time you had a battle between forgiving or not forgiving someone for something they've done? What did you do? And how did you overcome that challenge? So we're going to hop right in. Question 1, how do you view forgiveness? And is it something you believe you do for yourself or for others?
I think forgiveness can be it can play a big role in your personal growth. I definitely think that forgiveness is for you. Even though I think that as kids we're conditioned to believe that it's for other people.
Right.
But I think that it's something that's for you. I think it's meant to contribute to your peace, and it's meant to give you a lesson to move on from it and grow from it.
Okay, so you said the comment you feel like as younger people that we're conditioned to believe that it, revolves around other people. So do you think that's something that's just generational, or do you think we're conditioned to believe that by our parents?
It's both. I think because so much of the time, for example, like I'm sure everybody's had this experience of like you run off to your grandparents and you tell them something that your mama or your daddy did, and they tell you it's not that big of a deal, move on, forgive.
Yeah.
It's teaching us, if you want us to feel that way towards our parents, it's like everybody feels like that's a given.
Right.
But when you're telling a child to apply that to their parents, they end up applying it to every other situation. And they don't understand what it means to forgive for them.
Right.
It becomes meaningless.
Right.
So I think it's both. It's a generational thing for sure.
Okay, I feel that, cause like, see, I never have like physically ran off to my grandmother's house, but I have ran off to that cell phone for that 944 number, and I have snitched on Katrina. And what I can say is my grandma always is like, my grandmother's a good thing of kind of playing both sides and being like, I understand where you're coming from, but at the end of the day, she loves to say that as your mom, because my grandmother lost her mother, and she lost her mother before they were able to have a good relationship. So she always says like, that's your mom at the end of the day, like, forgive your mama. And I'm just like, I will forgive her, but not today, because why should I have to forgive her today and I feel the way that I feel? But yeah, it definitely is something that, especially if you're growing up and you're hearing it constantly, it is something that can allow you to use that for other people outside of your family. Because like you said yesterday, family is a very dangerous line to cross. It's a very sacred territory. Family, you can be the most unbothered person in the world, but your family can cross lines that nobody else can cross.
You're speaking.
So, I definitely understand. I definitely feel the same way. I believe that forgiveness is more for myself than for other people. It didn't used to be like that. The story I just told about my grandmother was a factor in that, but it just took me a while to be able to look at forgiveness as a self-reflection journey and a self-healing journey, and look at it all for me and not for the other people and like everybody else who hurt me. So, question 2, what do you believe is the main factor of forgiveness?
Self-reflection / growth. I just think that forgiveness is one of those things that it's truthfully meant to contribute to how you grow as a person and how you learn to maneuver through life.
Right.
Because I think what a lot of people don't understand is that when you're choosing to not forgive, you're choosing to hold on to negativity, you're choosing to hold on to pettiness, you're choosing to hold on to things that you're going to put out into the world.
Right.
Even if it's not about that person, you're going to put that unforgiveness out to the world, and it's going to show up in some negative way. So, yeah.
For me, I believe that it's self-reflection. I believe it all ties back around. I believe everything is connected.
Yes.
I got that from this show Manifest. I know you know Manifest. I got
Yes.
it. Used to be like, it's all connected. It's all connected. Everything in the world is connected in a circle of some sense, and I believe that it all also always falls back on maturity. I feel like maturity goes into self-reflection just as much as it goes into forgiveness. I feel like to truly forgive someone, you have to have that level of maturity to be able to forgive them, because I feel like a lot of people think just because they quote unquote let something go, or they don't let it sit on their mind, or they can go a couple days without thinking about it, that they forgave that person. But if you can still look at the situation, or if you can still look at the situation with some type of malice or some type of pettiness towards it, or you can still think about that person and only think negative thoughts or think pettiness or think about, I want my get back, then it's like you have not truly forgiven them, because you have not truly matured and been able to truly let the situation pass and look at it as a self-reflection and look at it as, okay, this situation was a bad situation for me. Now I've moved past it. I've forgiven this person, and I can look back at it as a story to learn or something to learn from, and not something that I still feel like, I have to do something about. Like I have to get my get back for, or I have to let them know that, you hurt me and this is your karma by me for hurting me.
Karma by me.
Right, karma by me. I'm not gonna wait for karma to hit you. I'm a fast forward. Let me put a couple hits on karma to come a little faster. So yeah, I feel like you have to have that maturity level to truly be able to forgive somebody. Once you know in your mind that you can look at a situation with no pettiness for real and no malice, but more of, like you said, a self-reflection and being able to look at it in a bigger picture, then you've truly been able to mature and forgive that person.
And that's why I say, when there are situations where I'm balancing whether or not I'm going to forgive somebody, I always ask myself, did I pray on it? Because, which goes back to what I said yesterday, I feel like it is really my mission, it's my duty as a person to forgive others, because like I was saying, God gives me grace every day.
Every time.
I'm not perfect. Nobody around me is perfect. He gives us grace every day, and why would we expect God to give us that and we can't give it to other people?
Exactly.
It's one of the many it's one of the many gifts that God has that He gave His people.
Right.
So why wouldn't we bestow that on to other people? So like I said, I always ask myself, did I pray on it? Because if I'm ever on the line of forgiving somebody versus not forgiving them, that means that something is at stake there.
Right, because He gonna let you know.
Yeah.
He gonna let you know one way or the other. You gonna give him, or you gonna cut him.
Right.
But God gonna let you know. Third question: do you believe in the saying, "I can forgive, but I cannot forget"?
Absolutely. 100%. Because it goes back to the whole taking forgiveness as a self-healing journey. Because I'm going to forgive you for my peace. But I'm not going to forgive, because in forgiving you, it taught me how to treat you if I chose to keep you in my life.
Right.
So just because I'm forgiving you and you're still around, it might be a cousin or somebody. Their families are always going to be around. I forgive you, but you know what? I will not sit in the room and kiki with you and do that. But we can sit at Grandma's table on Thanksgiving and, talk about the funny stories and all of that. But nah, we not going out together and doing none of that, and I'm trusting you to do no. I forgave, but I won't forget, and I won't make the same mistakes.
And I'll treat you accordingly based on how I chose to move on.
And it's not a pettiness thing.
Right.
It's my growth. And a lot of times when you forgive somebody, they get mad because they can see your growth. Because they can see that you're not giving in to what you gave in before. So.
Because the hit dog gonna always holler.
Always holler.
They gonna always holler.
They gonna lace them shoes up.
Okay, it's the thing. If you would have asked me this yesterday, I would have said I'm gonna play devil's advocate and say yes but say no, because I have a Michael Myers list. You know that I have a Michael Myers list, but I had an epiphany in the middle of that conversation, in the middle of that episode yesterday, when Mel brought up some valid points about, I said that I can forgive, but sometimes I feel like if you did me too dirty, that I feel like I got to do something back into that. I felt like that's what my list was about. And Mel was like, well, and we said that it wasn't disturbing our peace. And Mel was like, well, if it's not disturbing your peace, then why is it something that you have a list for? And I was like, you know what? That's why we so close, because you do things like that make me be like, wow, I am actually at a level of peace where I can, like we've been saying, self-reflection, look at myself and be like, girl, you don't even need a list. You're really past the stage of, letting this situation be something that you feel like you should kickstart karma for. So if you would have asked me yesterday, I would have said yes sometimes, but not all the time. But after that conversation, I do believe that I can forgive, but I can't forget. I do believe in that. Like Mel said, it's all about acting and moving accordingly based on how I decide to move on, and if I decide to keep you in my life or not. Because family was a very, very, very good example. A very good example, because they family. They not going nowhere, and not all your family gonna treat you like family, but at the end of the day, I'm going to see you across that table at Thanksgiving.
Right.
Or I'm going to see you at this family reunion. And I'm not going to sit here and have hatred for you and, have the whole family be like, ooh, see. No. I'm going to just, hey, keep it moving. I'm going to go to my side of the table. You can go see your side of the table and act accordingly based on how you treated me. But there is no pettiness. There is no malice. Right. There is no evil intent behind it.
I'm choosing peace over pettiness.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very much so. And I feel like, especially in our generation, that people feel like, because like I just said, I was this person who felt like I could have like a balance between hardcore pettiness and having peace. And you can't. Like, you cannot.
Go ahead.
You cannot have peace and pettiness. Like, you can't. Like, because one is always going to outweigh the other, and it's always going to be the negativity. The negativity is always going to find a way to be at the forefront of things that you do or what you feel, because it's negative. It's easy to be negative. We live in a world where there's negativity every time you turn, but there's not a lot of positivity. So it's easy to be pulled into negativity or spit out negativity. So that's always going to win. Pettiness is always going to win, over your peace, if you don't have a way of letting it go. And you feel like you can, live a double life with that pettiness and with that peace. And I feel like in our generation, they do that a lot. And that's why a lot of things don't be going right.
And I don't think we're saying, just to clarify, I don't think we're saying that your peace is a continuous thing. Of course. That's part of like a healing journey. How they say you never heal, you're always healing.
You're always healing.
So I don't think we're saying that it's always going to be like it's always going to win. Yeah. But it's a continuous journey that you actually try for. It's not something that you just be like, I'm not petty, I'm at peace. Right. That's not a thing. It's just something that you always strive for. Because even with me, I always say, I will forgive on the spot for me.
For you.
But if it ever comes down to a time where I don't feel that way, I have to understand I'm not perfect. And that's, like I said, I'm going to pray about it. So. Yeah, it's a continuous thing.
It's definitely a continuous thing that continues happens over your lifespan, but it's something that you have to work for. Yeah. You can't just sit in it and make excuses and be like you said, I'm not petty, I'm at peace. No, you petty.
I'm glad that is our generation's motto when it comes to it.
You petty. Yeah, and you need to be able to get out of that. Like I said, sometimes in life maybe a little bit of pettiness. Right. I'm gonna be a little petty. Right. Like, I'm going to be a little petty, and that's okay. But it's a difference between being a little bit of petty here or there and your whole entire lifestyle.
My intention is to be petty.
Exactly. And your intention is to sit in pettiness. That's when it's like you need to do some self-reflection.
Yes.
You need to do some thinking. You need to be able to look at a situation and be like, okay, this is what they did, but what did I do? And that's not saying that if somebody, you know, hurt you or you have to forgive them, that's your fault, that how they treated you, or that's your fault that they hurted you. But that's that's a part of the maturity and the self-reflection. Yeah, they hurt me. They're at fault for hurting me, but maybe, you know, I ain't have to yell like that. I ain't have to spaz. I ain't have to throw a shoe.
Right.
I ain't have to bust a window. I ain't have to break nothing.
Oh, Lord.
So I ain't have to do that. And that's not saying that it's your fault. That's just saying be able to look at a bigger picture of things, because you know, as you go through life, and forgiveness, as we keep saying, it's for you. It should be for you, and there should be nothing wrong with being able to look at yourself, look at a real nigga in the mirror, and be like, hey, we need to change this a little bit. We need to do this differently. Don't throw this rock no more. You know?
Right.
I did it, now it's done. But I ain't have to do that. Let's not do it next time.
Right.
Let's not do it again. And then be able to move on from that and, you know, act accordingly.
Right.
But, so, last question. When was the last time you had a battle between forgiving or not forgiving someone for something they had done? What did you do, and how did you overcome that challenge?
Okay, so for mine is going to be more so in general. It's going to be kind of vague, but you'll get the overall picture. So, growing up, and I'm sure a lot of kids have this experience, it was kind of intense for me, but growing up, I had a lot of people in my ears saying a lot of negative things. It was things that people shouldn't have did, people shouldn't have said, but I had family members. I had family members that were condoning it. And just simply out of like, that's not how it's supposed to be, and boys don't supposed to act like that, and you know, and it was things like that, and it messed with my confidence so bad. It messed with it really, really, really messed with me. Like, I would say maybe up to a couple years ago, but that even has circled back, right? So, and when it comes to forgiveness, I've learned that sometimes people can only treat you the way that they see the world. And we think that just because that's my mom, my dad, my grandma, my favorite cousin, my auntie, my uncle, that there's some type of different love that allows them to treat you differently.
Right.
But they view the world that way. They grew up that way.
Right.
And just because they have a child or a niece or a nephew or a grandchild, that's still their view. That's still how they see you, and they're still going to impose those things. And you
can't change nobody's point of view or how nobody feels and what nobody thinks about anything. You
can't change them. All you can do is say, I can't change you, but I have boundaries. And if you don't respect those boundaries, it is what it is. So what I learned to do when you talk about forgiveness, what I learned to do was forgive y'all. I'm going to forgive you because I'm going to set a boundary.
Boundaries is your thing.
That's
been your thing. Even when it was hard for me to be able to set them, like I learned how to hardcore set my boundaries low key through our friendship and, you know, through meeting you, because you would always tell me, did you set a boundary? Did you set a boundary, Anieya? Yeah, you saying this, but did you set a boundary?
Yeah.
Ooh, no, I didn't set a boundary. Well, maybe you should set a boundary.
Yeah.
And and I'm like, you
and
know, let me set a boundary.
Yeah.
And it's very helpful. Once I was able to, it was smooth colors. You broke my boundary, get out.
Right, because the boundary is for you too. Yeah, I'm setting the boundary for the other person, but the boundary for me is, am I going to hold myself accountable to say, you don't hold myself to what I said I would do if you broke that boundary.
Exactly.
So, in terms of forgiveness, when it comes to my family, I made the decision to forgive them because I knew that if it ever came down to it, while telling them what it was, that's it.
Exactly.
And we moved on, and my relationship with most of them has never been better. So, you know, I found peace in that. Yeah.
Exactly, because like you said, setting boundaries is also for you. First of all, it helps your self-love, because it helps you train yourself to not deal with certain things, and it helps to, you know, remind yourself of what you don't want and what you won't stand for. Yeah. And it also shows the true colors of people. If I set a boundary with you, if I say, you know, don't touch my book, and you come into my room, and I come back and my book is half open, I have my book, because you touched my book, and I come to you and I'm like, hey, did you touch my book? Yes. I told you not to I told you not to touch my book. Well, touch. So now that just showed me that you don't care about me enough to respect the boundaries that I've set between you because you touched my book.
Right.
And I told you don't touch my book.
Because they're never too small or too big. A boundary is a boundary.
Exactly. A boundary is a boundary. Don't touch my dick. For me, I really wish that y'all could have, because this conversation is actually going good. It's actually going really good. Yeah. I just really wish I could have heard the original spit piece yesterday. Like, I really wish y'all had, because I've been thinking about if I should give y'all a different scenario than the one that I gave yesterday. And as I'm just sitting here flowing through this conversation, I don't think that I'm going to give y'all a different scenario than I gave yesterday. Because yes, I can give a different scenario, and yes, it could still relate to this, and it could be true and people could feel it. But I feel the situation that I gave y'all yesterday a little bit more than I feel the situation that I could talk to y'all about today. And I feel like y'all need that, and y'all need the truth, and y'all need the reality, because it's actually a lesson within this story that everybody needs to be able to hear, because you can put it towards anybody. Last summer, once upon a time, but last summer, before I left for Carbondale, to go to SIU, if y'all ain't know, that's where I went. Go to Louis, go Dogs. Woof. But before I left, I went through like a downfall of losing almost every friend that I held dear and near to my heart. Like, I mean, best friend title. Like, I was going through the motions of like distance and losing those friends. And let me clarify, it was not distance as in regular grow up apart distance. It was distance as in shady, messy, petty distance. And it was something that really affected me, because not even on a victim talk, I did nothing to deserve the way that I was treated by the people that I let go and lost. And it was one of those things where it was like, I feel so deeply hurt and mistreated, because one, I know that I have to let these people go out of my life because of the way you treated me and the boundaries that you crossed and the things that you did. But it's like, I had y'all in my life for so long that it's like, that kind of hurts. Like, some of these were through middle school, through high school friends. Like, these weren't just, up out of the blue friends. Like, these were, once you cross them stages, you like, okay, we grown. You supposed to be in my life forever. We've said that. And now I have to lose you? Like, girl, you supposed to be in my bridesmaids line. Okay. Like, come on now. Like, boy, you supposed to be standing next to Jamel. Like, what's going on? But I just, and it kind of felt like a grievance that I had to let these friends go. And I very much tuggled through the fact of wanting to forgive these people, because I didn't forgive them right off bat. It was months in between different scenarios that happened that led me to finally cutting off. I didn't drop my phone. Finally cutting like them off and cutting the ties. But it traveled with me to Carbondale. That hurt and that anger and that, betrayal feeling traveled with me to a completely different place, to a place where I was supposed to feel to start of happiness. It traveled, and I never really got that fresh feeling of starting something over with weight off of my heart, because I was still carrying the mistreatment and the pettiness and the messiness and the unfairness that was given to me from people that I would never do that to or think to do that to a day in my life. Right. And it was showing up in the way I talked and my personality and not eating and sleeping too much or barely sleeping and having an attitude. It was like I was losing myself so much that I was seeing it in my personality. Like, when you really battle stuff mentally, and this is what we've been saying, like, forgiveness is really for you. And I had to learn that, because I'm sitting here hurt over people who not hurt over losing me. And it's like, I'm sitting here trying to battle how to forgive you, and you living your life 3 hours away, not even caring that I'm sitting here hurt by myself in a dorm room over how you treated me. And I'm losing myself, and my personality sucks, and I'm not doing things that I usually like to do, and I feel out of place, and I feel not myself over people who not even thinking about me on a day-to-day basis. And when they are thinking about me, it's not nice and they mistreated me. So it's like, you know, I was allowing myself to be sucked down and pushed down and lost, you know, in order to keep people who didn't need to be kept and who weren't treating me right. I had to save myself. Like this is why I said I didn't want to switch it, because this is where I really, really learned that forgiveness had to become a me thing, that forgiveness had to be about saving me, and I had to mature and I had to grow, and I had many times where I pondered by myself and many times where I prayed and pondered it all, and I'm just like, okay, let me stop thinking about y'all and let me think about what I've done or how I've reacted. Let me look at the bigger picture. Let me self-reflect. Let me think about what I could have done differently, how I could have stood up for myself, how I could have set more boundaries, how I could have spoke my mind and said, I don't like this, don't do this, or I have to let you go, how I could have cut it faster, you know, how I could have been better for myself, how I could have loved myself more, how I had to sit and I had to ponder all of those things about myself to finally be like, girl, you sat here and let yourself slowly drift away over the course of months. This isn't weeks, this isn't days, these are months plus 4. Like, you sitting here letting yourself drift away an entire summer, an entire first semester of, you know, university life because people mistreated you and you don't know if you should forgive them or not because of how much love you have for them that they don't have for you. You know, it was something that I really had to think about. And when I finally did choose to move on and cut ties with them people, it was really because I forgave them. I did. I forgave them with no pettiness intact, no malice. It was one of them things that it was like, I'll never want them to not succeed in life. Everything that y'all have ever told me y'all wanted, I pray that y'all do it, and I'm watching y'all do it. Right. I'm seeing some of y'all do it. I want you to eat, but you can't eat with me. And that's sad when you think about it because, you know, it's okay to sit around and be like, I had some really good times with these people. I had some really good memories. They call my mama mama. My mama loved these people. But y'all, at the end of the day, y'all failed. I'm sorry. You failed. And you cannot stay in my life no longer. And I have to do that. I did that for me. I didn't do that for nobody but myself when it came to forgiving these people and letting them go. So, you know, now we back and we better. And it's allowed me to jump into a new era of my life. And like I said, that self-reflection allowed me to self-reflect and see some things in myself that I need to change. Or some things that I seen in myself that I didn't think was possible before that I'm now eating on and it's possible now. And it's really, really made me happy as a person.
Right.
But yeah. But yeah, I have to save myself. So that's my story.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to change that from y'all. I'm sorry. Y'all had to hear that.
I'm glad you kept it because somebody needs to hear that. That's really important for somebody. And like I said yesterday, your forgiveness led to your healing journey that led to you doing the things that you're doing now. You feel like you had something to talk about from that situation. You gained so much from that when you felt like you was losing. And now you're in a place where you got a whole podcast and you're able to talk about these things that build somebody else up. Yeah. So forgiveness is a gift.
It's a gift.
A power.
It's power. I was just powerful. Is there anything else you would like to add or tell to the people?
Just always remember that there's nothing wrong with forgiving nobody. If you feel a heavy weight in your chest, like, I really don't want to forgive this person. Like, how can I forgive them over what they did? Always remember that you are fighting a war against yourself when it comes down to that. And you got to choose you at the end of the day. Always remember that your peace it contributes to your whole overall being. And it's going to be important for you to look in the mirror at the end of the day and say, I forgive you first. That's important. So just remember that.
Once again, like I always say, thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for the support. This is the last episode of season 1 of Nichelle's Audio. We're moving on to season 2. Clap, 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 clap. I wish I could add clapping stuff in here, filters and stuff, the sound bars. But season 2 will be focused on Black people and Black culture. I hope everybody has a fantastic week. Continue, relaxing on y'all Sunday. And I will talk to y'all next time. Bye.